Hello, everyone! I am Musical Daredevil, and we have been given a very important mission, and all of you are coming with me. And us, actually. I happen to have a co-commentator with me. You want to introduce yourself? Looks like we can't hear your mic at the moment. I heard you for a bit there.
That's never happened before.
Added to
That
the counter. I heard you there for a bit.
okay. Let's see here. Make sure I have the right mic.
Alright, so anyway, we will talk a little bit about what our mission to the Iliac Bay region is in a little bit. But in the meantime, we're just going to get the run started. So the timer is going to start as soon as I press Start New Game. That will be in 3, 2, 1. So right off the bat, one thing you can see is that Daggerfall is much more D&D focused than some of the later games in the Elder Scrolls series. If you played Skyrim, this is part of the same series, but a very different game, mostly DOS focused. I'm just going to press the U key there, and that's going to make that point deficit I had just go away. It's a weird thing they incorporated into the character selection screen. I'm going to pick my major skills, Running, Thaumaturgy, and Mysticism. Those are going to be very important for most of the run. Jumping, we're going to be doing a bunch of that. Then some Destruction Magic, and some Illusion. Then down here I pick Alteration, and the rest of these don't really matter. I just pick whatever happens to me closest to my mouse pointer. Gonna set that to 4. Gonna add some advantages, Athleticism, so I go faster, increased Magery, so I have more magic, and then Spell Absorption, which will actually come into play while we do some combat. Then I'm going to add a few disadvantages. These won't really come into play very much for Material Adamantium, and that's it for character generation. Now, who won the character name Bid War?
So the name is Tiber Septim.
Tiber Septim.
Yeah, Tiber and space SEPTIM.
Alright, that has some very interesting plot implications. I'm not going to choose my face. Going to have to set my speed to 90. Let's reroll that. That's good.
Love how this game actually has dice rolling sounds for when you roll your character.
It's great. I wasn't kidding when I said this was a lot more D&D focused. Alright, there's my bonus points. Going to set my reflexes to very high, and then we are in the game. First thing I'm going to do is skip the tutorial, head to this, turn that off, and then I'm going to press Alt F11. This is a bit of a developer code that was left into the game, and if you press it twice, it actually warps you back to the dungeon entrance. Now I'm going to head to Rip Market, and in Rip Market, I'm going to buy a whole bunch of spells and take out a loan from the bank. And actually, I'm going to turn down my audio for a second. There we go. Alright, so here's the bank. Gonna take out a loan for 50,000. Take a letter of credit. Don't worry, we're gonna finish the main quest long before that loan is due back. Don't worry about it. Major skill is over here. We're gonna buy some spells inside. First spell I'm going to make is a combination of Water Walking, Unlock, and Open Door. Now you might think that this is a very odd combination of things to have in one spell. The thing is, the whole point of this spell, there we go, is to actually level up my character to level 7. We have to be level 7 for some of the earlier quests. Ultimately we get to level 8. But level 7 is the one we want to get to. Next we have Teleport, very handy for speedruns. Now we have Damage. We are going to do some combat, as I mentioned, but not a whole lot. Then we have Levitate, also very useful in the speedrun. And then we have Slow Fall, because if I was to just levitate while I am falling, the game would actually treat that as fall damage, and I would get very hurt and possibly die. And that's it for our spells. And now the next thing for me to do is, like I said before, grind up to level 7. I do that by casting the level up spell just a whole bunch of times. While I do that, the Flying Marlin is going to explain what exactly we are doing here in Daggerfall.
Alright, I hope my audio issues have been sorted out.
They have.
Yeah, basically, we have been sent on this mission from the Emperor. Uniquely among Elder Scrolls games, we are not a prisoner, and hopefully that will not change over the course of the run. But basically, the Emperor said that he sent us here on two rounds. First of all, recently the King of Daggerfall, a guy named Lysandus, died under mysterious circumstances. So, and now he's just a spooky ghost that haunts the city of Daggerfall at night. You can actually hear him shout the word vengeance late at night in the city of Daggerfall, and it's very scary. So we got to figure out, why that's the case and, put an end to that. But also, apparently there was a letter that the Emperor sent to the Queen of Daggerfall, and he said it's of a personal nature, so we have to find out what happened to that letter and make sure it doesn't get into the wrong hands. Yeah, right now we just got to keep grinding our level, because we can't really progress unless we theoretically kill enough monsters and explore enough, but we're just gonna put in EXP way.
A few more here.
Alright. So yeah, after this we're gonna go to another city in this region, the Iliac Bay, which is southern High Rock and northern Hammerfell, for those who are familiar with the provinces. But yeah, this is a very large map that's roughly on the scale of the size of the UK. So, as you might imagine, there's a lot of procedural generation and not a lot of details for much of this world, as you will see.
Two more. And last one. But yeah, this map is gigantic. It's the biggest map in all of the Elder Scrolls, I believe, and that includes Elder Scrolls Online, which has all the provinces. Don't ask me how that works, just go with it. Anyway, now we're going to head to Wayrest, because we have a wedding to set up. Princess Morgia, who is the princess here in Wayrest, she is looking to marry Mannimarco, the King of Worms. Now, if any of you played Oblivion and played the Mages Guild questline, that is the exact same Mannimarco that is the final boss at the very end of that questline. Oops, I am stuck in the bush here. That's no good.
That can happen sometimes, and it is quite annoying.
Let's see. Just gonna levitate out of this. No, I can't. Okay. Excellent way to start off the run. This has happened before, by the way. I have gotten stuck in that bush. Okay. Second try. So, as I said, Princess Morgia is looking to marry Mannimarco, the King of Worms. She actually stands to gain quite a bit by this politically. And so she's going to make a deal with the King of Worms, and part of that deal involves marriage, and the King of Worms says, I shall give you my first. Now, rumor has it that was actually supposed to be something relevant to the plot of Morrowind, but then they just kind of forgot about it, so it's still a mystery what exactly that means. Anyway, here is Castle Daggerfall. I'm going to levitate as soon as I get in, because if I was to touch the ground in here, when I pressed Alt F11, I would actually go to that spot first, instead of going directly back to the dungeon entrance. And by dungeon, I mean castle. So that's taken care of. We can now go to Skirg Barrow and meet up with Mannimarco, the King of Worms.
So a funny thing is that somewhere deep in the lore of this game, you do come across the name Mannimarco, but it does not necessarily refer to the King of Worms. And it wasn't until later on in the series when they decided to make the two characters the same.
Yeah, I think the King of Worms looks a lot better in this game than Oblivion, personally.
Oh, 100%.
Yep. We're about to meet him, in fact. There he is. Alright, so what the King of Worms says is it's a deal, and so he can teleport back to Princess Morgia and tell her the wedding is on. Unfortunately, we are not invited to this wedding because we have much more important things to do. And those important things are what is probably the worst quest in the entire game, and I would say the worst quest in the entire Elder Scrolls anthology. And that is the werewolf quest. See, there is a servant in Castle Daggerfall who has some information for us about the letter that we are here to find. But before they're going to give us that information, they want us to find a werewolf and kill it. Now, that werewolf can spawn in any dungeon in the province of Daggerfall and can spawn in anywhere in that dungeon. And so there's a lot of RNG in this quest, and it can take anywhere from 30 seconds to, like, minutes to complete this one. Now, I've given myself a 5-minute time limit that Flying Marlin is going to keep track of, and once those 5 minutes are up, I actually have a backup save I'm going to load where I know exactly where the werewolf is. Now we're going to do some kung fu jumping, where if I just attack the air repeatedly while holding down the jump button, then I can gain some height. I am going to fall down eventually, but only after I enter this door. Whoops. Thanks, game. Game likes to do that. In fact, I should probably save right now. Try this again. There we go. And now I'm going to fall out of bounds as soon as I enter this door. I gotta remember to...
There's a lot of really insane out-of-bounds tricks with this run.
Yeah, there is. Okay, remember to save. And teleport. Alright, let's see what dungeon we go to. It is the Circle of Gwynissa. Okay, I may want to re-roll this one, but we'll see. There might be some enemies in here that are not exactly stream safe. I'll know for sure when
Funny thing about the dungeons is that sometimes it'll have a name like the Castle of something, but it's really just a hole in the ground with a cave. Although the last time you did this at a marathon, it was actually a castle.
Yeah. Very rare for that to happen, where it's a castle and it turns out to be a castle. Alright. Jump in there.
So if you can't tell, this long jump is a special glitch. Long jump is a special glitch that allows you to basically move forward.
Is this it? Wow. Okay.
Wow, that is hopefully
that is the best possible look
wow.
you can get with that. That's incredible,
honestly.
And during a marathon.
Yeah.
I like to say I get gifted a good werewolf when that happens. It happens sometimes, but it's very rare. All right, you want to talk about the courier quest?
So I haven't brushed up a whole lot in the lore lately, but from what I understand from reading this game, basically the courier quest involves tracking down a bit of information about the letter, I believe.
Yes.
And basically, you have to like find someone else. Oh, you find this person in this town, and they'll point you to someone else, and it's basically just a whole wild goose chase. That, yeah, there's also a zombie sent by the Underking, who is this zombie lord, who is also a major character in this game that we barely see. So you might have noticed that with the long jumps, there's a travel menu that you can open up, and if you do that and you hold down jump and forward and the run key while exiting out of the travel menu, that'll allow you to do a very quick long jump forward. That is the main method of transportation in this run.
Yep.
It's alongside fast travel, but
we're gonna be doing some really long versions of that later.
Yeah, really long.
Really long. So in the meantime, I got the location of the person who's going to tell us where the courier is, who was supposed to deliver the letter, just by talking to random townsfolk. They're around here somewhere. Yep, just northwest. This one, I think?
It's hard to tell sometimes which house a label refers to, because it's the first letter of the name that it's alluding to, or anything like that, which is very confusing for
here we go.
New players and also myself.
Yeah. All right, looks like it was open. The person who's going to tell us where the courier is probably right up here. Yep, there they are. Okay. Now they're going to tell us that we need to be in Grimfort. But they told us 8 days. However, it is actually 15 days. They lied to you. You have to check your log.
Sometimes the number of days it's rare, but sometimes the real number of days that's put in your log is shorter than the number of days that the person gives you. And that's tricky, because if you miss any of there's only 1 day that they'll be there, and if you miss any of these days, we'll soft lock the run, which is
yep.
There are so many opportunities to soft lock the run.
Yep, very easy to soft lock, which is why I am double checking my log to make sure I got the math correctly. So it's 8 days to get there. which means that it's 4 days out, 4 days back to be 16 days. You get like a day of leeway. And hopefully I did this math correctly. So that we are here, we leave, find a place that's 4 days away. That's way too close. Let's try this. It's too far. That's good. Oh, back at Rip Market. Cool. Now, if I did the math correctly, and I think I did, we should be here on a good day. Those townspeople are too far away. Let's talk to this guy. We're good.
Make sure you don't steal from him.
Yeah, that happened during a previous marathon where the Flying Marlin was here. Now, where is the castle in Greenford? I think it's... There it is. All right. Southwest. Yes, so both the place where the messenger and the courier were are randomly generated. So this could have easily been a different town. That's why I gotta look this up.
The courier is always in the palace that's in the center of so many towns. Well, center is a very subjective term, but there is a palace in pretty much every walled city. There is a palace, and the game just picks a random one of the so many of them, and just the thing. And the irritating thing is sometimes the door can be locked, and fortunately, the level up spell has a lock door function, which is
luckily it was not locked.
Otherwise,
this
we
time.
can punch it. That's good.
So what the courier told us is that they delivered the letter, but the letter was supposed to be sent to the Queen of Daggerfall. Now, as the Flying Marlin mentioned, the king was killed, so by the time the letter was delivered, there was a new queen, and this queen was the Queen Dowager. So that's a bit of a problem, because the new queen is kind of into things for her own interests. Anyways, now we're off to Skirk Barrow once again, because that zombie I killed earlier delivered a quest for us from the King of Worms. Now, the quest the King of Worms is going to give us is actually to go and kill a lich that is residing in the Palace in Sentinel. Once we do that, the King of Worms is going to give us some information about an NPC known as the Underking. Now, if you play this main quest casually, the Underking is actually a fairly important character, but we skip pretty much everything related to the Underking in the speedrun.
Now we're actually gonna after we're done talking with the King of Worms, we're gonna talk to him again, and he's not gonna respond to us. That actually, that's actually gonna be a really important speedrun strat, because we're supposed to come back to him after we complete this next quest. But in a way, we've already pulled the game to turn it in before we actually even kill him. So that's now all we gotta do is just kill the lich, and this whole quest is done.
Yep. As soon as I kill this lich, the dialogue box from the King of Worms is going to pop up. That means we've done it.
And as you can see, Sentinel is very different from the generic Western European medieval fantasy of the rest of the game. It's a big desert, very sparse, with a gigantic domed palace, which is really cool.
And now I'm going to levitate up through the ceiling once I get inside. It is very easy to get out of bounds in Daggerfall, if you've seen, and this is another way of doing that. Collision in ceilings is very strange in this game, so you can just do that. Easy. Anyway, the lich is over here. And hopefully I don't take too long to kill him. And that's going to take a bit. There we go. So now we've killed the lich, the King of Worms talks to us. And now we are going to go to a location known as Durrani Tower. Now, if you're playing this main quest casually, you can only get this location by doing a couple quests. But because we're speedrunners, we know exactly how to get there. So I'm going to head to this town. Then head up on top of this building. Stop levitating. Loiter for a bit, not rest, because resting is illegal in towns. There's level up. And then I'm going to look at a fairly precise angle. There we go. And I'm going to do a super long jump like we talked about before. And what's going to happen is I'm going to jump forward with the momentum of my jump, but because I just cast slow fall, gravity is like barely what it used to be. So I'm now flying forward extremely quickly across the island. And with that, now would be a great time to read any donations or blurbs or plug any upcoming incentives if you've got them.
Don't have any current donations, but I will say I actually haven't had a chance to I haven't myself introduced the charity yet. But yeah, this marathon's benefiting No Kid Hungry, charity dedicated to providing meals for children in need, as well as supporting food banks and community groups that serve the areas that need it most. They provide emergency grants and expert guidance to schools and local community groups to help feed kids. So it's a wonderful charity, and I'm happy to be hosting a marathon for it.
Yeah, No Kid Hungry is a great charity. Thank you all so much for donating as much as you have so far, both for my naming incentives as well as for the marathon in general. And we have made it to Durrani Tower. That flavor text means we are here. Gonna Kung Fu jump inside.
So, fun fact, this tower is actually the starting point for Elder Scrolls Online. The tutorial basically takes place in and around the dungeon of this tower. I mean, it looks totally differently, like everything from the DOS games, but this is the starting point.
Yep. So now inside of Durrani Tower in this game is Lady Medora. Now, Lady Medora actually used to be the court mage of Castle Daggerfall, but she and King Lysandas had a bit of a love affair, and so Lady Minisera, who gave us the courier quest... Let's see, where am I going? I'm going to Shedunjit. So she was actually banished to that tower because of that love affair, and now we need to go grab a horn to lift the curse on that tower, and then she will tell us about how to take care of King Lysandas' spirit. Shedunjit is also the home of Nafalga, King Lysandas' mother, who's over there. She's a bit stricken with grief at the moment, so we're going to just go past and grab the horn. We will actually be talking to Nafalga later. What are you doing? That was weird. Horn is right here. Grab that, teleport back. And now that we've gotten that, Lady Medora is going to tell us that we need to grab the Dust of Restful Death. Now, she doesn't know exactly where that is, but the orcs in Orsinium know where it is, so we're going to go talk to them.
So orcs are not actually playable characters in this game, unlike the later games. But I think canonically, this right here is what basically gives them equal status with other elves and human races, and this is what makes them playable characters later. I think canonically.
Yeah, I guess so. It's complicated.
We're negotiating a treaty, which we don't really see anything about.
Yeah. So let's see where we get to go for the dust. Also, the letters here. Let's see, the ruins of the Gerhard farmstead, right? The dust is in one of 5 randomly generated dungeons. Not as bad as the werewolf, but still, it's a bit random. So you can lose time if you get a bad dungeon, like Greensley Hall, for instance.
Yeah, and there are only a few places in each dungeon where the dust can spawn, so you just gotta figure out where it is.
Yeah. So here's the letter we were sent here to get. So that's one of 2 things we needed to do in Daggerfall. Let me just double check. Was it Ruins of the Gerhard Farmstead? Yes, okay. I actually got this place in my practice run. This is fun. Look at that. Collision is great. Okay, this is one place I think it can be. Not there. I'm looking for a mummy right now. That mummy is what can have the dust on it. I believe is another place. Nope. Okay, so... Are you the mummy?
Much like other dungeons,
there we are.
Where the werewolves can spawn naturally, mummies can spawn naturally here, but fortunately, this is the mummy we were looking for.
Yep, sometimes you can get like 4 or 5 mummies in the dungeon, and it gets really annoying. Because you have to kill all of them. Alright, so now we've gotten the Dust of Restful Death. Lady Medora needs, I think, 31 days to prepare it so we can sprinkle it on King Lysandas' tomb and figure out what the heck is going on. So in the meantime, we're going to go back to Castle Daggerfall, turn in the letter, and then mark here so we can teleport back here later. You want to talk about what exactly was in the letter, Marlon?
So it turns out, and this is where the character name kind of comes into play. Because it turns out the letter was not really what you would think a letter of a sentimental personal nature would be about at all. It turns out Totem of Tiber Septim has been located. Not Tiber Septim as in our player character, but Tiber Septim as in the great emperor who later became the god Talos, canonically in this game, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Uh, so basically, it turns out that the Totem of Tiber Septim is basically the the key that allows someone to control a Numinium, which is this giant mecha, basically, this giant mech suit, or robotic golem thingy that allowed for Tiber Septim to take over the entire continent of Tamriel, and it could be used for great good or for great evil. So we gotta make sure that the totem is in the right hands before, someone does something bad with it.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. Okay, there's Daggerfall. So if you got a donation too you want to read, now's probably a good time.
Don't have any donations,
Okay.
but I did actually have something to ask myself. Those little dots on the map, if you memorize like what each dot is, or you just like know where to click?
It depends. Some dots, like Durrani Tower, I do memorize, or like Rip Market, or Heartsleek Range, which are both very hard to find. And some of them I use the search function.
Yeah, and the thing is, sometimes if you've run this game for a while, you'll know the ones that are important to the quest because there aren't that many. You'll know which ones are which because of the ones around them. But yeah, there are thousands and thousands of dots throughout the entire game that I don't think anybody knows.
Yeah. So anyway, we are now on to the Tomb of King Lysandus, where we're going to sprinkle the Dust of Restful Death on him and figure out how we can calm his spirit. Now, the dust itself isn't going to do that, but the dust will allow us to talk to his spirit, and that will tell us what we need to do. Here's another one of those big jumps like we did to Durrani Tower. Not as far, so it's a bit less precise. But still need to be careful of my angle. Alright. And that cliff face up there with the mushrooms, that will be where I get the marker for the tomb. There we go. Get rid of slow fall there. Oh, I leveled up again. And then do a nice big jump this way, and there's the tomb. Now, people don't actually know that King Lysandus is buried here. They think he's buried on the battlefield where he was slain in battle. This is a top secret tomb. And if you play this casually, you would have to pull a lever to find the actual true tomb of King Lysandus.
And yeah, this was one of the most frustrating dungeons when I played this game casually. Because it's like a weird, puzzle with a lever and finding it. I definitely had to consult some online resources to find it.
Yep. The DOS era of games is not a very forgiving era of games.
It really
Anyway,
doesn't help that
here's the tomb.
Dungeons were procedurally generated.
Yeah. Alright, so we are going to sprinkle the Dust of Restful Death on King Lysandus' tomb, and what we found out is that King Lysandus wasn't just slain in battle. He was actually assassinated by Lord Woodburn of Wayrest. And so in order to avenge him, we have to go kill Lord Woodburn. Lord Woodburn is in his manor over here. He doesn't really figure that much into the speedrun because we've never mentioned him until now. I'm not sure if he's super big in the main quest either, but he is a fairly big political figure, and so he stands to gain a lot.
Lord Woodburn welcomes you, Tiber Septim, my good friend. This place where destiny is made.
If that line doesn't sound familiar to you now, it actually won't sound familiar to you during the next game because we won't hear it either. But yes, if you played the next game, Morrowind, casually, then you would know that line. Alright, so here is Lord Woodburn. We're just going to cast damage health at him through the floor, and he's down. And we have now completed both of the things we were sent to Daggerfall to do by the Emperor. But we're not quite done yet, because we still have the outstanding issue of the Totem of Tiber Septim. So we're going to meet with Lady Briziana, who we were actually supposed to meet as we got out of the starting dungeon, but we skipped that. So, White Witch Heath, with no T in it. This is also random. Okay, hopefully this town's not very big. I've sometimes gotten bad RNG and these towns take forever to navigate. This one doesn't look terrible, but now I gotta find some townspeople so they can tell me which pub I'm supposed to go to. Okay, northeast. I think they marked it on my map. Oh, that's northeast. Not too bad.
Flying Muskrat, that's almost my name.
Ha! Flying Marlin and Flying Muskrat. A duo for the ages. Is this it? Yes. The door should be here somewhere. No? There it is. Where are you, Lady Braziani? There you are. Okay. So now Lady Braziani gives us the final quest to go get the Totem of Tiber Septim, and we can give it to one of 6 different people. One of them is the Emperor through Lady Braziana. One of them is also Gortwog. We are going to instead give it to King Gothrid, who just so happens to be right over here, and so that's the fastest.
Turns out it was right behind him this whole time, and he didn't know.
Oops, should not have done that. There we go. We are in the castle treasury. People are trying to kill me right now, but they can't because I'm too fast. Anyway, let's teleport. And we shall give it to the king. He's going to give us a quest, but we have a much more important one, and that's done. Now we can get out of here. We're going to get a whole bunch of dialogue boxes as the other people who want the totem contact us, but we've already given it to the king, so too bad for them.
The game did not foresee that we could give this totem to someone that quickly.
Yeah. Now, one other thing that happened is that we got a telepathic message from Nofalga, because she actually found the other key that can make Numidium work, and so we are going to go retrieve it. And with that, that is going to give King Gothrid control of Numidium. Although, in reality, what actually happens is that all 6 of the people get control of Numidium simultaneously, and a whole bunch of weird things happen. There's a book about it called The Warp in the West you might have seen in some of the later Elder Scrolls games. It's complicated.
Basically, every ending canonically happens at the same time. The timeline splits, and then it refuses. And that is what the devs used to explain every inconsistency between the first 2 games and the next 3. They just said, oh, it was the Dragon Break that did that. And yeah, I don't think there's going to be any major branch storylines in the Elder Scrolls universe anytime soon again.
Nope, certainly not. Anyway, this is Aetherius, specifically the Mantellan Crux in Aetherius, which is where, well, the thing we need to get is located. I can die here because this is an endgame dungeon and I am very underleveled. Oh, that's probably going to kill me. Okay. Dodge it. Yep. Okay, I can die here in Aetherius, happens all the time. Come on, load the game. There we go. Fun thing about Aetherius is that there is also... What happened there? That was weird. Anyway, fun thing about Aetherius is that Sovngarde in Skyrim is also located in Aetherius. It's just located in a different part of Aetherius, not this one, obviously.
Yeah, you're not going to come across any chanting Nords anytime soon here.
Nope.
You know dragons, but plenty of other things are going to kill you.
Okay, where is the doorway? There it is. Hopefully I don't take my time here. Oh, come on. Game? Are you alright? That's weird. This has happened before, but it's weird. Luckily, I am well underestimated at the moment, so, you know, I think we'll be alright if I die twice in Aetherius. Because I got such amazingly good luck with that werewolf quest.
Yeah, honestly, that was about as good as it could be. Which,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, well, I'm going to get through the doorway first, but after I do that, now would probably be a good time for shoutouts. There we go! Alright. So now we are pretty much home free, so now would be a great time for shoutouts. Big shout out to Puri Puri, who did a lot of the routing of Daggerfall, as far as I'm aware. Also, big shout out to Flying Marlin, both for being my co-commentator, as well as actually giving me a lot of coaching while I was learning to do this run. And shout out to the rest of the Elder Scrolls community as well. I'll be giving plenty more shoutouts after Morrowind, which is coming up next. So time is going to be as soon as I pick up the Mantellan Crux and then teleport back to Shedungeon and get the final dialogue box. And that's time. And that was the Elder Scrolls Daggerfall. This right here is the Underking. His heart is actually what was powering Numidium, and so now that we've done that, he's going to come up and reclaim it.
So
like I said, didn't really matter in the speedrun. Anyway, go ahead.
So we basically saved the world by stopping the heart of a divine being from controlling a giant robot from destroying everybody. That's an interesting way to end the game.
Yeah, it sure is very interesting. I wonder if it's going to come up in the next game at all. It might. And with me doing the thinking emoji, that's going to do it for the Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall. But stick around, because right after this, I'm going to be right back with the next game in the series, Morrowind. Alright, hello again, everyone. This is now the next game in the Elder Scrolls series, Morrowind. We are going to be doing all main quests, where we actually go through the main quests. Some of you may have seen any percent, where we just finish the game in like 4 minutes. But for this one, we are going to be doing all the Hortator and Nerevarine quests, as well as all of Caius' stuff. So you get to see a lot more of the game and a lot more of the lore behind it. So I'm just going to jump in and start a new game here. Time hasn't started quite yet. This is Giab. We are only going to see him here on the boat.
What's your name?
Now, who won the bid war for Morrowind? No, there it is. So yes, we get to be Talos again. The Nerevarine is Talos. That also makes complicated lore implications. Anyway,
I heard them say we've reached Morrowind. I'm sure they'll let us go.
so here comes the guard. Timing will start as soon as I get full character control.
Here comes the guard.
This is where you get off. Come with me.
And right off the bat, we have what is probably the hardest hardest strat in the whole game, and I got it. And that is getting around that guard. Saves about a second to a second and a half. You can also set the tone for the run. Now I have to skip a dialogue box for that hatch. Didn't get it, but that's fine. Now I have to choose my race. Just like with Daggerfall, I'm going to be a Red Guard, because Red Guards in this game get an ability known as Adrenaline Rush, which will be very useful for a jump that comes up fairly early on in the run.
To the office and they'll finish your release.
Now we're going to head inside the census office and do the rest of character generation. This is Acucius Urgala. He is voiced by someone named Wes Johnson, who is actually running a marathon, or running a charity event that starts right after this one does, on May 1st. Now I do have to be careful about how I set my character here, because we do have to get to level 3. And we are going to do that by leveling up our speechcraft skill.
You mentioned you were born under a certain sign. And what would that be?
Now I'm going to pick Steed for my birth sign, because that makes my character go faster.
Interesting. Now, before I stamp these papers, make sure this information is correct.
That's okay, going to grab my papers. Now we have an AI exploit. I'm going to grab this platter and drop it on the ground. Now that is stealing, and stealing is wrong, but during the tutorial, the game's like, we're not going to punish you for it. The game's going to try to take that platter, but because I dropped it on the ground, it can't do that. And so we get the platter and we can sell it for some gold later. Just going to turn in my papers. Yeah, it is. Now, we were supposed to give that ring to Fargo, it's right there, but we're not going to do that. We're instead going to sell it to a rill here. We're also going to buy a lockpick, as well as some teleportation scrolls and an unlocking scroll. There are several different kinds of teleportation in Morrowind. There is Mark and Recall, which you saw in the last game as Anchor and Teleport. There is also Intervention, which takes you to temples and forts, and we will be using all 4 of those throughout this run. Outside of town, here's an Easter egg. There's a mage named Tarheel who invented some scrolls that allow you to jump really high, but he doesn't quite know how to use them correctly, so he's just going to fall to his death. We're going to grab those, grab his shoes as well, then teleport to Balmora. And it's not raining, thank goodness. And now we are going to jump to the end of the game. Because at the end of the game are 2 very powerful items we are going to use to buff up our stats, Sunder and Keening. We also need those items to beat the game. Oh, this is annoying. I'm going to have to load Balmora again. This has happened to me before, where you get stuck in that tower. It's a rather annoying thing. Okay, turn that on. If you want to read a donation or quick blurb, now's a good time. So what you just saw there was I just scrolled my mouse wheel and swapped weapons back and forth really quickly. And if you look in the top left corner, you'll see my speed is now 3,000, which means I go this fast. And physics don't really matter a whole lot when you have this much speed. In here is the Hammer Sunder that we're going to grab off of Daggerfall. who is right inside here. Just going to phase through that door. We're going to kill him with a lockpick, because if you swap to a lockpick mid-weapon animation, that glitches the damage, and you make infinite damage, pretty much. Going to swap a bit more to get my endurance and luck up. That's good. And now I'm actually going to exit the game. And in the background, what I'm doing is I'm actually moving the quick save I just made over to Game of the Year Edition. And what that does is I'm now going to start in Game of the Year Edition. I'm going to restart my screen share 1 moment so you all can watch that. There are a bunch of improvements that were made in Game of the Year Edition, and because of that, it is actually faster to swap versions while you are in the middle of a run. Lots of UI improvements. Also, stability is a general thing. I'm going to get that ready. Going to equip an Amulet of Levitate on that hotkey. Then I'm going to teleport to the town of Alderaan. And from here, I'm going to head to Caldera and meet up with everyone's favorite merchant if you play this game casually, Creeper. And what I'm going to do with Creeper is I'm going to sell some armor to him that I'm going to steal out of this crate right here. That's going to give us a nice amount of gold. Not going to sell everything because Creeper only has 5,000 gold. Mudcrab Merchant is way better. Going to sell the rest to Varik Germain over here. And I'm going to buy a couple amulets, as well as a bow and some arrows. We're going to be using those frequently throughout the run. Now that I've done that, I'm going to head back to Balmora, where we jumped to the end of the game from. And in here, I'm going to buy a few spells. One is some intervention, so I can teleport back to temples. Then from this NPC, I'm going to buy Fortitude and Mark. And then I'm going to generate a custom spell. And this custom spell has 3 effects. There we go. The first thing is it makes the speed of any NPC I cast it near a lot faster, 200 faster specifically. It also makes NPCs like me more. And then there's a third effect that makes the spell permanent if I set all those things to 0. We call it the Soul Trap glitch, because that's one of the things it can be used for if you play this game casually. Equip some hotkeys there, and now we're going to head back to Saint Denis, where we exited the Census and Excise office, because there's actually a fetch quest item in an ancestral tomb right outside of Saint Denis. It's right in here. Door. Doors are the worst in this game. They are one of the major enemies. Okay. Also, the skull can be an enemy. There we go. Now that I've grabbed that skull, we're going to head to Caius Cosades, who is one of the main quest-giving NPCs early on in the main quest. Now, the first thing he's going to do is he is going to send us over to an NPC, the Fighters Guild, who's going to give us some information about the 6th house. But before we do that, we have to grab a puzzle box for him that is in this dungeon right outside of town. If any of you play this game casually, you may remember Snowy Granius. I just flew over him. Not an issue. Yep. Anyway, here's the Fighters Guild. Door. 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 There we go. Doors are going to continue to be an issue throughout this run. That's normal. Anyway, we turn in that. Then I'm going to teleport back to Kai's. And now we're going to train up Speechcraft. So as I mentioned, for a later quest, we have to be level 3. And this is going to set up that level up. Now that I've done that, I'm going to head over to the Mages Guild. I'm going to turn in that skull and get some information about something known as the Nerevarine cult. All of this will be explained later on in the run. First, I'm going to sell off a couple items to Galberdier and grab a soul gem. I'm going to sell those because I don't need them anymore. I got Drathist. Sometimes that scroll can appear in the place that the scrolls I tried to buy normally appear. And I say I got Drathist because that's the spell that appeared there instead. Gonna get some Levitate from this NPC. This is a bit of a safer strat than World Record. And since this is a marathon, I'm going to do that.
Warm greetings out there.
Then we're going to head to Alderaan. And in Alderaan, we're going to set up another glitch. See, if you cast a follow spell twice on an NPC with an escort quest, it skips to a part of the script for that escort quest that instantly passes that escort quest. We're not quite sure why that's in those scripts. We think it might just be some sort of failsafe, but it's great for speedruns. I'm going to put that follow spell on Tar Heel's shoes that we grabbed earlier. Then I'm going to rest twice to level up. And now we are level 3, so we can get the next quest. The next quest sends us to Vivek, where we are going to get some information from 3 NPCs. The first one would normally have an escort quest associated with them, but instead we're going to use our Shoes of Instapass that we just made, and we won't have to do that escort quest. They're located in here. They're going to tell us more about the Nerve-Ring cult. The second NPC is in a bit of trouble with their taxes, but if we just kill the taxman, then I guess that becomes a non-issue. Taxman is located right in here. Stop moving, please. There we go. And now the NPC is going to tell us about the Nerve-Ring cult. Oops. Sorry, the Sixth House cult. The third NPC is located in the library. They're going to tell us that we need to acquire a book. That book is also in the library. I'm going to try and steal it without getting caught, but even if I do, I'm way too fast. Anyway. This might be good, actually. Nope. Alright. Good luck. Like I said, way too fast. Anyway, now that we've done that, Kai's is going to send us on yet another quest to get more information. You may be sensing a trend here. This one is from an NPC in Alderun, and they're going to tell us about the Ashlanders, who are a nomadic tribe that is located way out in, well, the Ashlands. Specifically, we are going to be talking about their gift-giving customs. And now that we have finally gathered all this information for Caius, Caius is finally going to tell us what is going on here. See, it turns out that the Emperor, who was the same Emperor who sent us to Daggerfall in the previous game, believes we may be the reincarnation of a war general from 1,000 years ago. If that is the case, then we have a very important destiny to fulfill. And so we are going to go talk to the Ashlanders and see if they can help us out with that. First, they're going to make us fetch a bow from this cave here. So we're just going to head inside and take care of that. Not the bow I'm currently carrying, a much more important one. The bow I'm carrying right now is actually going to break if I use it one more time, so we don't want that one. Anyway, this is the ghost that has the bow on it. That's taken care of. Gonna teleport out and head over to the Ashlander camp. It is very hard to see here. I oftentimes get lost in the Ashlands, but it looks like we're here. Now that I'm here, I have some very important courtesies to fulfill, mainly bribing that guy 200 gold so he will let us speak to the leader. Leader is going to send us on a fetch quest to grab the bow, but we already got it, so we can now talk to the wise woman who's going to tell us more about the prophecy. Now, what the wise woman tells us is that we haven't quite fulfilled our destiny yet, but we have the potential to fulfill that. What she would do next is she would send us on a very long series of quests to fetch something, and then she would reveal the location of a cave. But because we're speedrunners, I know exactly where that cave is located. It's that small black dot on the map that I'm heading to. It's right here. We can only enter at certain hours, but we're here at the right time, so we can just do that. Now, inside this cave is a ring that actually used to be carried by the war general. And because of that, everyone recognizes us as the reincarnation of that general. What also happened there was I skipped a cutscene, thank goodness for skippable cutscenes, that set up the rest of the main quest. We need to be named Hortator by all 3 great houses on Vardenfell, and named Nervarine by all 4 Ashlander tribes. That vampire I just killed was part of one of the Nervarine quests, and I'm now going to turn that into the Zainab Ashlander tribe, who is right over here. Now, what the Zainab tribe leader says is that we did great killing that vampire, but before he'll kneel us Nervarine, he wants us to bring him a bride. We will take care of that later. In the meantime, we are going to take care of the Telvanni Hortator quest. Now, the way you need to become Hortator is every single counselor needs to vote for you to be Hortator. You may have noticed I just killed one. See, if the counselor is dead, then their vote doesn't really count. So, we can just kill these because it's fast. Actually, that was the wrong spell. There we go. Over here is the Ahumusa tribe. Normally, this would be a very annoying escort quest, but with my Shoes of Instapass, I can just cast them twice. And that quest is completed instantly. Now I'm going to teleport back to the Ursulaku camp. They already like me, so being named Nerevarine is no problem there. Then next, we're going to head to Aldruin and take care of the Redoran Hortator quest. Oh goodness, that was some good timing there. Almost ran out of Levitate. So the way the Redoran Hortator quest works is the head of House Redoran has kidnapped the son of one of the other counselors. So what we're going to do is we're going to rescue the son, and that is going to garner favor. Actually, hold on. This is what I need. Nope. Game. There we go. Got stuck on a banner there for some reason. So this is the son. We are going to escort him back to his dad's house, and then his dad's going to garner favor with all the other counselors, so they will vote for us to be Nerevarine, except the leader, of course. But we will deal with the leader later. Yeah, they're all real close together. This is going to be interesting. This is the one escort quest we cannot skip due to how it's scripted. And so as you can see, this AI sometimes gets weird. Not too bad. I've had worse. So now that we have done that, we just need to go talk to all the other counselors. This is a very heavy movement section, and so I need to pay attention to that. So if you've got any donations or blurbs you want to read, now would be a great time for that. For this counselor, it's easy to get lost because of the rooms you have to go through. But I think I know roughly where I need to go. Here we are.
3 blessings to you, Outlander.
Then we have Arabar. Even easier to get lost in this manner. So that is all of the counselors taken care of. Now we need to talk to the head of House Redoran, and he is going to challenge us to a duel to the death. We will be taking care of that a little bit later on. In the meantime, we are going to head back to Balmora because Caius has a bit of a side quest for us. See, while we were taking care of all of this, Caius and his Blades agents found a 6th House base. And so he wants us to go take it out. The 6th House, as I believe we mentioned before, are the main villains of Morrowind, and their leader, Dagoth-Ur, is the final boss we're going to take out. Now, what the 6th House is up to is they are spreading a disease known as Corpus Disease all throughout the island of Vardenfell. They are infecting people's dreams to force them to become their followers. And what Dagoth-Ur specifically is doing is he is actually building a second Numidium. You may remember the first Numidium from the first game that Tyrus Septim used to take control. Well, we've got a second one here that we need to deal with. And so taking out Dagoth-Ur is going to be important for the same reasons as the last game. We do not want a second Numidium taking care of stuff. Now here's the head priest. He has been taken out, and with his dying breath, he curses us with that exact Corpus Disease I just talked about. Talk to me, Caius. There we go. And so we are going to have to go get this Corpus Disease taken care of. But first we're going to head to Vivek, and we're going to take care of the Arabenium Subnerevarine quest. Gonna mark here, this is a very useful spot to head to. Now, the way the Arabenium Subnerevarine quest works is a bunch of their leaders are a bit warlike and don't really like this whole Nerevarine prophecy thing. And where am I going? There we are. And so we're going to kill all of the warlike leaders and name someone else the leader of this tribe instead. And then they're going to name us Nerevarine. Let's see. You'll notice I'm grabbing some clothing from some of these NPCs. We're going to use that to convince the person to become leader of the tribe, because he doesn't want to become leader of the tribe. Now I'm going to talk to the wise woman. She is going to tell us the plot to make the new person head that I just told all of you. And now we're going to take care of that. Just going to yell at him a whole bunch, give him the items, and now he is head of the tribe. He names us Nerevarine, and yeah, that's it, I guess. So now that we've done that, let's go get this corpus taken care of. See, Caius actually might have found someone who has a cure for corpus. The problem was everyone he's given it to has died. But I mean, what do we really have to lose anyway? We're going to die too, if you have corpus long enough. Now, before we can get the cure for corpus... Whoops. Wrong button there. Before we can get the cure for corpus, we are going on a fetch quest to fetch some boots from the last living dwarf. If any of you played Skyrim, you know what a big deal speaking to a dwarf in this game is. Here he is. Say hi to the dwarf, and then goodbye. Yeah, sometimes I can get to that... Go ahead. Yeah, second weirdness is very accurate. Second weirdness. So anyway, we take the cure for corpus, and what do you know? It works on us, the main character of all things. And it turns out that being able to be cured of corpus is actually part of the Nerevarine prophecy. So that's yet more of it fulfilled. This is Neloth, or was. Don't worry about him being in a Skyrim DLC, he is canonically dead. In here is Gothrin. Gothrin is never going to accept us to be Nerevarine, and the game actually tells you as much as part of the dialogue in this game that you should kill Gothrin. This door always gives me trouble. There we go. No. Yeah. Okay. So this NPC is in a cage here. She used to be a slave, but now with my Shoes of Instapass, she is the bride of the leader of the Zainab tribe. And with that, we are now Nerevarine of the Zainab tribe. Next, we're going to head back to Balmora because Caius has one final quest for us before he heads back to the Imperial City in Cyrodiil. That is to rescue Maramilo. Maramilo belongs to a faction known as the Distant Priests, and they have an alternate account of the general we are the reincarnation of, and the temple here in Morrowind does not like that, and so they're persecuting the Distant Priests. This is the head of House Hlalu, the third great house. He is actually allied with Daggerfall in the sixth house, so he is never going to name us Nerevarine and would actually attack us if we talk to him. Now that we have killed him, the rest of House Hlalu is scared of us, so they're just going to name us Hortator, no problem. In fact, this NPC is going to walk away from me. Down the steps. Come here. Name me Hortator. There we go. Now we're going to head back to Vivek and take care of the head of House Redrun, who has challenged us to a duel to the death. And with a quick bonk on the head, that takes care of him. In here is Yingling Half-Troll. He wants us to pay him 1,000 gold, but doing that takes a while, so we're just going to kill him. Next up is Counselor Drambaro. All we have to do is find him. He's right over here. There you are. Next we have a counselor that's located a bit off to the side. This is a really easy one to forget, and I cast the wrong spell, so this is going to make this interesting. They're over here on this island. This island. There they are. And now we're going to go break Maramilo out of jail. This is jail, by the way. It's a floating meteor. Don't worry about it. Nothing bad could possibly happen with a floating meteor. Anyway, here's Maramilo. We're going to give her one of the Divine Intervention scrolls we got from the Mage's Guild a while back, and then she is going to meet us at the base of the Distant Priest called Holamayan. We're going to get there by talking to this NPC. Gonna rest a bit to make it the right time. And then talk to them and get that alternate account of the general we are the reincarnation of. Whoops, went through that wall there. So now the next part of the main quest can really be done in any order. And this is just turning in all of the Hortator quests. We are first going to turn in the Telvanni Hortator quest with the last living counselor of House Telvanni, and that is Mistress Thorana. Now, Mistress Thorana is a bit hard of hearing and also a bit senile, so she's going to start rambling about spiders and eggs and other things. But we're going to amuse her, and then we are named Hermidor of House Telvanni, whatever that means. Next, we're going to turn in House Redoran, And it turns out the new head of House Redron is the counselor whose son we've rescued, so we will be named Hortator no problem. Here we go. And now we will be talking to a rather interesting NPC named Crassius Curio, to be named Hortator of House Hlalu. If you've ever read his play, you'll know he's a bit of a playwright and an interesting character, but I won't be going into detail about him. Instead, I will just give him a little kiss, and then we will be named Hortator of House Hlalu. Yes, I was not kidding about giving him a kiss. Yeah. Anyway, we have now been named Hortator of all 3 great houses and Nerevarine of all 4 Ashlander tribes, and so we now get to talk to the false god Vivek, and he is going to give us the final quest to defeat Dagoth-Ur.
Why walk when you can ride?
Ah. Yes, we can hear you now.
Why walk when you can ride?
Ah. Okay. Okay. Well, we can hear you now. But anyway, here is Dagoth-Ur. We parkoured around that mountain early on in the run. All I have to do is attack the heart that is going to power the second Numidium in the center of the heart chamber, and that will defeat the final boss.
What a fool you are.
Oops, didn't go
I'm
third
a
person there.
god. How can you kill a god? What a grand and intoxicating innocence. How could you be so naive? There is no escape. No
Oops, hit time a bit early there, but that's time.
You no longer bear the
lay down
burden
your
of
weapons.
prophecy.
It is
You
not
have
too late
achieved
for
your
my
destiny.
mercy.
You are free.
Alright, and that is the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind all main quests. A few more shoutouts. Shoutouts again to the Flying Marlin for doing some commentary for this run as well. Shout out to Troy of Athens for hosting and reading donations for the past couple of runs. A couple shoutouts for the community. Shout out to Forrest, who did a lot of the initial routing of all main quests, and you can still see some remnants of that during the latter part of the run. As well as a shout out to Volvulus, who both did a lot of the current routing for all main quests, as well as did a lot of mentoring for me while I was learning this run. If you are interested in learning Daggerfall or Morrowind for yourself, there is a link to our speedrunning Discord on speedrun.com. We don't have a ton of up-to-date resources at the moment. Someday I'm going to fix that. But until then, definitely join the community. We are a very welcoming community, and ask all the questions you'd like in our Discord. Now, that's going to do it for me here on the camera, but tomorrow I will be reading donations for you tomorrow morning Eastern Time. And with that, Marlon, do you have anything else you want to add? Yeah, thanks. I am still amazed at that werewolf luck. That was incredible. But anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all so much for donating to No Kid Hungry, and let's throw it back to the break screen and our host.